On my left is Don Farnham Sr. and Ed Jameson is on my right. They are longtime ABC employees. They both started on April 10th, 1948, if I remember correctly. Do you remember April 10th, 1948, Don?
Well, yes. April 10th was a Saturday. I walked in on Monday morning, which is the 12th, and I got hired on the spot. But of course, I had to have my 2 days off, so actually, I'm April 10th.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
That's all.
That's exactly what happened to mine.
Right.
There was 2 days off.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they were both hired on the same day, which
Yeah.
is unusual.
Well, I walked in, I had my first class phone license, and I wrote to ABC and ABC and CBS. ABC is the only one that responded. There was Bill Cummings, and he said, well, next time you're in Chicago, stop in and see us. So I stopped in about a week later, of course, and Monday morning he took my application. He says, I'll be right back. And I figured, well, this is a no-go. And he came back and said, could you start right now? And I said, you better believe it. I had no idea what the job paid or what it was, but I'm in.
Yeah, that first class phone license was a thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have your first class?
Yeah, right,
license?
yeah.
I think that's why they called me down.
Right.
And you had previously served in the Marine Corps?
Yes, I was overseas for 20 months.
Yes.
I was at the campaigns of Marianas at Guam, and I was at Iwo Jima. I'm an Iwo Jima survivor. Everybody did it. I mean, you'd be out of place if you weren't in uniform.
But you were in radio then. That gave you a foundation
They
for
sent me
this.
to radio school, which naturally when I got out of service, went to school. I went to DeVry Radio and Television School, and got my first class license, which, like Ed said, that's what got us hired.
Yes. Did you have any teachers there at DeVry that wound up at ABC?
Oh yeah. Hank Coleman was my teacher, and Dick Brimmer was our lab teacher.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was, Bill Cummings mentioned their names, and I actually started ABC months before they did. And so I gave them a good word.
Oh, okay, good. Jamie, did you were in the Navy?
Right.
You were on an LSM,
Landing ship, amphibious stuff.
amphibious stuff, and you traveled from San Francisco to. Well, first of all, this is a new ship, right?
Right.
And you had to take training in the Carolinas.
Well, they had a training ship down there. The same boat we're going to use in the war.
Yes.
It was down there, and we just went on that boat with 52 of us, and that's the crew, and we trained out there for about a month, just the same officers and same crew that's going to be together, for 2 years was
Yeah.
training out there.
And then you were put on a train, sent to San Francisco?
Yeah, well, let's see, where did we go? I think it was Long Beach. That's where the ship was.
Okay,
That's where the shipyard that built it was.
okay. And you took it from there. And what was your assignment?
I was a quartermaster that's concerned with the maps and where we're going and how we're going to get there and that kind of stuff.
Yes. And you work closely with the radio and technical people.
Well, when I first started, yes. I started like vacation relief in the merchandise part.
Yes.
And after,
Well, yeah, but I mean, on the ship, that's ignited your interest, right? And did you go to DeVry then after you got out of the Navy?
ATL.
ATL, okay. And you got a first class license out of ATL.
Right.
And then you went April 10th, you got hired at ABC. By the same Cummings?
And he called me down and he said, you want me to work vacation relief in radio?
Yeah.
And then he says, in the fall, we're going to go on with TV, so you can just transfer over there.
Okay.
Worked out very nicely for me.
All right, but there's a lapse here. You were hired April 10th, 1948. The show didn't open, ABC WBKB did not open until September 17th, 1948. So what did you do in the interim?
That was what I mentioned, the vacation relief and radio.
Okay, and Don?
I worked in the DST operation in the Mart, where all radio programs were played back an hour later to certain parts of the network. And that's what we did. We would record a program and play it back 1 hour later. It was went on. I did that from April through July. And then the Moby Loonies came back from the Philadelphia Democratic Convention in Philadelphia, our ABC Moby unit. So then I was asked to be sent to the field, and they granted my request, and I became a member of the field crew. And we practiced, set up, practiced, rehearsed, and to get ready for September 17th.
And who was your technical director?
Bill Cassie. He was technically, but his title was field supervisor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Director.
Bill Cassie. He was technically, but his title was field supervisor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Jamie, how did you wind up in Telescene after radio?
Well, I was on the TV side of it for several months, I think.
Okay, well, you were in the opening night crew. And Don was in the opening night crew, is that correct? September 17th, 1948?
Yeah.
Yes?
In that little studio down on the first floor, the Civic. That's where the big shows were on opening night. I was
Yes.
on camera there.
Okay. This is, they have the penthouse crew listed, Civic's crew, and a field truck.
Right.
Okay? Just take a look at this. And didn't they have a band there also, Paul Whitman?
Paul Whiteman.
Whiteman.
Paul Whiteman, world renowned, and his famous number was Rhapsody in Blue, which is about a 22-minute number. And he played it in its entirety. So I don't know if we had an audience by the end, but that was in the little theater where Ed was working. Frank Kerner was a TD down there. And I was on the field crew at the Coliseum, 15th and Wabash. It's gone now. But we did a beauty contest, and
And it was tied in with the opening
yeah,
night?
Remote, yeah, we fed it back with microwave, but it was a 30-minute show, and we ran out of time. They took it away from us before we got to the winner.
So,
Yeah.
did you get any reaction from people, from the newspapers about opening night?
We probably did. I'm
I'm
sure.
just gonna say, I don't remember much about
Uh,
what we did after that.
I'm sure we did, but at that time, we didn't pay any attention to that. You know, nobody talked about what they think of the show last night. I mean, just
Yeah. But technically, it went well.
yes, it did. We had no equipment failures. I remember as the following months working wrestling and baseball and all that, we had a lot of technical trouble. We got to do a 3-camera show. Sometimes we wound up with just 1 camera working. You know, so there was nothing unusual to lose a camera. The little story about Russ Hunt. We're doing the Beulah
Well,
Carney.
who was Russ Hunt?
Russ Hunt was a technical director over in Studio N in the Daily News building. And we were doing Beulah Carney, a cooking show, just 2 cameras. And just before we went on the air, we lost a camera. So the director told Beulah on the PA, he said, we only have 1 camera, Beulah. And she says, well, I tell the people on the air that we lost a camera? And Russ Hunt got on the page and says, Beulah, I wouldn't tell him if you burned the biscuits.
Russ Hunt subsequently went to work at WFLD.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He was been around a long time. I don't know whatever happened to him, but
Yeah.
he's much older than myself, so I'm sure he's probably gone.
Did you have that pie wagon?
We did.
Yes. And did you have to open up the doors and have that dry ice blown in by a fan
Well, then
to
the
cool
mobile
things
unit,
off?
Yeah.
Because things got so hot? Is that true?
That's true, right.
I remember, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, we ordered a lot of dry ice, and, well, you know the story about Hank Coleman and the dry ice.
Well, go ahead.
Well, we're doing, I don't know, the holiday show somewhere, and it was hot, and so Coleman ordered how many pounds anyway, and then the weather turned cold. So the guy Iceman came, and Hank said, well, we don't need it. He said, it's cooled off. And the guy said, mister, you just bought 600 pounds of ice.
Yeah. So, the result of the wrestling, the sports, you did horse racing,
We did.
and then you were assigned in Telesing. You finally made your way to Telesing?
Yeah. I did work up in the control room in that civic studio for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I wound up on 44th floor.
Yes.
Talk about cool things off. I remember the air conditioner out on the parapet outside of Tennessee? That's where we used to keep our beer cold.
In an advertisement, it says, ABC presents the premiere of WENR, key station of ABC's Midwest Television Network, Friday the 17th, 1948. WENR TV operates Channel 7 with a frequency of 174 to 180 megacycles with studios in the Civic Opera Building, Chicago. Remember that?
Yeah.
Good. In the beginning though, it was more entertainment than news, isn't that
Oh,
correct?
yeah. News was just a byline. It was a second thought.
One chair and a stool over in the corner was.
Right.
How about Turner with the dudes?
5 minutes at the end of a show, 5 minutes with Elmer Turner. You know, just read it. There was no telesing, no rolling films or anything. Just he read 5 minutes of news.
Yes, I could tell you my experience with Elmer Turner. We were working early morning show, and Elmer, of course, he was combed his hair right before, but we had just a desk and a cyc around it, and one of the stagehands came in, and he said, Elmer, said, I took the streetcar today, 5304, and 5304 didn't have any heat. You know, we're in a commercial break. So Omar comes back, he does the rest of the news, and he says, and streetcar 5304, turn on your heat. This is an earth-shaking news show we did.
You know, 2 or 3 years later, when we had studios in the Daily News building
Yes.
on the other side of the river, we did Paul Harvey over there, a 15-minute show every day. And that's when news started to come about, and more emphasis on news. Because when you went with Paul Harvey, you were in the big time.
Yes. Yeah, and did you do his studio work? He did some work out of Studio A also.
Probably, I don't remember that, but
And the story is that he had a red phone for breaking news.
yeah, oh, I know it's a story you're building up to.
Please.
Well, the red phone rang, and Paul stopped and picked it up, and so
We're on the air.
we're on the air, sure. When he picked it up, and somebody says, "Is Kish there?" And Kish was a stagehand.
Yeah.
And Paul says, "You don't say." And they picked him up and down. So after he got out there, he said, "Who the hell is Kish?" It's Frank Kish, a stagehand.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, then it evolved, I think the first big, well, Frank Reynolds was also,
He came a little later.
Yes.
Frank Reynolds. Frank Reynolds needed phone books under him, to build him up.
Yeah.
And Gaddy, the lighting man, used to hide the phone books.
That was disconcerting, right?
Yes, right, because Frank was always a little very insecure.
Yeah, and he wound up in the network though.
Yeah.
And we had Jim Conway did some news a little bit, and he had a morning show.
Right.
We also Dennis Swanson brought in. We had not Elmer Turner, but Floyd Calvert for a little bit,
Yeah.
and but Dennis Swanson, I think, brought in Fahey Flynn
Well,
and Joe Daly. And
that's when news started making money.
Yes.
Because there was an old saying way back, sports makes the money and news loses it. But then, like you said, Dennis Swanson brought in the Flynn Daily news team
Yeah.
with John Kolb and Bill Frink, and the heavy
Joel
emphasis-
Daly.
News is almost number one then as far as priorities at the station.
Yes.
It,
The news station, the emphasis grew all the time. They had a permanent set,
right.
and
And it was heavily promoted, and Channel 7 was number one as long as we had a Fahey Flynn for years and years.
yeah. But prior to that, I recall that we weren't doing so well.
No, we weren't. We were always behind NBC or CBS locally here.
Yes.
But NBC had Clifton Utley and
Alex Dreyer.
Alex Dreyer. Yeah.
He was very, very good.
Right.
Very deep voice. One of the last reporters to leave Berlin before Hitler took over Germany. I understood. And then he went out to San Francisco.
Right.
But he had a following,
Oh yes. Yeah.
and he was really one of the premier news people that we had. You had to have a little background in the news, to get that position.
Right.
Elmer Turner had a listening post in Northbrook.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Do you remember, Jamie?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a picture here of Telescene. Does that review?
Oh, yeah.
Is that was that at the Civic Opera House, or was that?
That's in the penthouse.
I think it was the penthouse, yeah, the
45th floor of the Civic Opera, which is the Kemper booth.
Yes, and this also? Do you know?
Oh,
who
yeah,
those-
yeah. That's
Who are those
That's
people?
Ed Horseman, the chief, and that's Timberlake, isn't it? Yeah, that's Floyd Timberlake.
Floyd Timberlake,
Yeah,
Tim Timberlake's father?
right.
Mm-hmm. And I understand Jimmy Valentine, Horseman.
Yeah, that's Bill Cummings, the man who hired us. He was really the kept the engineering office in Orange. Horseman was the man that went to public, and Jimmy Valentine wasn't here that long. Came from Dumont in Philadelphia, and he left one night. I don't know what happened, but he was overrated.
Yes. Now, here's a picture of our one of our initial crews.
Yeah.
Yeah, Horseman was the only one I ever called the chief.
Yeah.
That's not the only one.
And,
That's right.
and he was, to me, he was the ultimate in engineering. People really loved him.
He was an organizer. He could take a group of people. There's no doubt about who's in charge, and you'd go to hell and back for him.
I don't know.
Had that achieved since.
That's about right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, do you remember that I heard he had I don't know if we can tell the story, but we'll tell it anyway.
Yeah.
Horseman used to go with the men.
Yeah.
And he would go out after the shows, and there's a lot of drinking.
Oh
wasn't
yeah. Right.
There was a lot of drinking.
Yeah.
And Mr. Horseman ordered some soup. And he went to the washroom and somebody put a prophylactic in his soup.
Yeah.
And he came back and he started eating his soup and he couldn't finish eating. He had to leave the restaurant. But the guys thought it was a fantastic
Yeah.
joke to play on. But he was a man who could take a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a sweetheart.
Yeah.
We were very sorry to see him leave.
And he then Bill Cusack took his spot.
Right, yeah.
Then we had Ed Hippie and we had Jim
And Bill Cusack was a great engineer, but he was aloof, you know.
Yes,
We very seldom saw him and never got to meet him or get to know him. But,
Yes.
yeah,
then he went to 32 and I think Chuck Buzzard took his spot.
he did, yeah.
Then Ed Hippie.
Yeah. And then Joe
That-
Kresnicka.
No, I think in between there was Hippie. Ed Hippie.
Yeah,
Ed Hippie and then Chris.
right, right.
Then Jim Owens.
Jim Owens, yeah.
And currently we have Cal Hassan, correct?
Yeah, Cal.
Yeah. So,
Jim Owens, I think, was the last guy that, after I retired,
You know,
he would call me once in a while. On their
all
working
these
days.
pictures,
Well, you
they're
got
talking
all
about
kind of
these guys.
young people down there that want to work. You don't need me.
yes.
And, but he liked some. He would call me and lead him, but after about maybe 2 or 3 months, he would call me and he
Taking
would
pictures of these things.
Yeah.
Should take these
But you enjoyed
pictures
working
too.
there.
I'll figure out, we'll have to figure out later.
Yeah, okay. Don, I want to get on record, you worked a lot of Monday night sports.
Yes, sir.
You were a game cameraman with Phil Carlson, you and Phil.
Right.
I was fortunate to work for you when you were technical director, which I profoundly appreciate to this day. But I remember we were working out for the Olympic tryouts, and I was a dolly pushing you, and we followed the swimmers. And all of a sudden, we were visited by Richard J. Daley. And the mayor came up to Don, and he said, "Don, how are you? How you doing?" And Don looked over, I said, "Hiya, Dick, how you been?" And Don was on a personal name basis with Richard J. Daley.
Well,
Did you know him in Bridgeport when you lived in Bridgeport?
Yes, we, my wife used to babysit for him, and, went to all the affairs, the democratic affairs, you know,
Yeah.
and weddings and wakes and so, sure. But he's whenever he come out, or even Governor Otto Kerner, always come to see the crew. Anything you need, send over a case of beer, you know,
They would send over a
that's the
case of
kind
beer?
of guys they were. They were shot and beer guys, you know.
Yeah.
And those guys, those people are gone now. It's a lost art.
Yes, yes. Also, I just want to recall back on Monday Night Football about the referee and the hat.
Right, yeah.
Do you remember that
Oh
story?
yeah, that was a college game. We were out in Denver. Jack Lubell was the director,
No,
and the way we control commercials, we had an assistant director sits on the sideline in the chair with a red hat, and when he puts the hat on, it's time for a commercial. So the game had or kickoff. So the guy, the stage manager, is down there with his sitting in a chair, and he has to go to the men's room, but he left the hat on the chair. Here, it's just about 5 minutes before airtime. So some guy come along, tired, he decided he'd sit down, and he didn't want to sit on the hat, so he put the hat on, and the two teams kicked off. And we weren't on the air, so Jack Lovell comes screaming out of the truck, "Stop those fucking cameras!" And that's the only time in history that they stopped the game and kicked over again when we hit the air. Yeah.
yes.
So,
But you must have worked, did you work the game cameras on them too? You
Oh,
and
yeah.
Phil?
Always a game camera, never had an easy camera.
Please.
Right, yeah.
No, I recall that. I would be fearful
Yeah,
of
yeah.
doing that. I was fortunate to work for you. I worked on first or third base or center field, but I knew that you had to be highly skilled to get the cameras that you had,
Yeah.
and you had to be able to know the game,
Right, right.
which I was learning, but I'm glad I.
Oh, you did a great job, Ray.
Well, no.
You were requested in the name of George Smith.
Well, yeah. That's another story.
That's the story about Ray. He did a great job on third base, and the director came out to see him. Great job, George.
He thought it was Smith.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
name tags, you know.
So then Don got me back on the crew. They took George, and they thought George was myself, and so got back on. But we also, did you ever do any of the Gemini shots down in Florida?
No, not live shots, no.
How about
I
Houston?
did shows for Net News down in Houston,
Yes.
and but not involved in the space shots. Well, I'm wrong. I went on the carrier. That's what you.
Yes.
I was on the carrier, the Antietam, to pick up John Glenn in 1962.
Yes.
Best part of that, we had a few days in Bermuda,
Yes.
but we didn't get to pick him up. He went another orbit, and the Forest Hall picked him up. And but it was a great experience. Being Phil and I he was in the Navy, I was in the Marine Corps. We always spent a lot of time aboard ship.
Yes.
And,
Was this the picture? Was that
No,
was that
no.
the ship? That was another ship
no,
that Phil was on.
we're doing the America's Cup in Rhode Island. This is where Phil is, and yeah,
That was America's Cup.
yeah, at Newport, Rhode Island, and that's the red toilet seat, that ABC emblem. Remember, we called it the toilet seat, and everything was platted. If you rented a truck, we had the big A's that went on the side.
Yes. But when you were working a camera like that, it was very, very sensitive to the wind
Yeah.
and to any movement on the ship. Phil was,
Well-
he had it pretty well tied in, but
Yeah, well, if you want to spend money, you could get the automatic, like the bomb sights, automatic leveler, a gyro.
Yeah.
Gyroscope.
did Phil have one?
No, but later on we started running them when we were having shots like that.
Didn't you work a little bit with on any cooking stuff? Did you work, like, Francois Pope, I think we,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Right,
we worked together on that.
right, we did.
And
I
with
don't-
Bob and Frank Pope and
I don't
Francois
know if we
Pope.
can, I don't know if we can talk about that.
No, but that was a.
Herbie
that was-
Hemlock.
Herbie Hemlock was an
Yeah.
outstanding stagehand,
Right, yeah.
who was a very good friend of mine, an old-time stagehand. He was with Lucky Gordon and
Oh,
those
yeah,
guys.
right. They went way back.
Yes,
We need some telescene jokes here now. Ed must have 1,000,000 of them.
yes. So, but Ed, I think of all the shows that you worked, you once told me that you really enjoyed working on Giggle Snort Hotel.
Yeah.
And what did you find about that show that you liked so much?
Well, I liked it when they had a vacation relief guy on the microphone,
Yes,
and they got puppets down there. But he's swinging the mic over to the puppet. The puppet was there.
he thought the puppet was, he had to be a vacation
Yeah.
relief guy, that's
he
for
was.
sure. Yeah,
But I forget. I can't remember the name of the show. The lady was the, I think that was the lady who was the, 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 the lady who was like the hostess.
I own?
Two puppets.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was in the penthouse studio there.
Yeah. But they had, Jim McFarland was the director, wasn't he?
He was the director of a lot of shows.
Yeah. I know they wanted you on that show because you were doing something special for him. I don't know what it was. But,
He could have been music and velvet maybe. He did something for special for him all the time. Because that was a show where they wanted everything real smooth. Every time they changed cameras, there was, fading in, fading out.
yeah,
They didn't have any levers
right.
to make them. We were using an old field switcher. 4 buttons down here, 4 knobs up here. If you wanted to make it dissolve, you punched up the 2 cameras. They had to twist the knobs, and I did the whole show that way. Cause music and dissolve was nothing but dissolves.
Did you have a video control down there too? Was there a video control, or did you have to go through the?
No, well, there was the video control. But it was, in a rack behind us or something, I think.
Well, then, we had the shaders up there. Everything had to be shaded, right gain.
Yeah, that was,
But that wasn't in Telsey.
that was up
Yeah.
in the penthouse.
Could we take a pause right?
Sure, of course. He had an audition, borrowed some money from a quarter from one of the stagehands to get home. He was so broke.
Boy,
Yeah, he did a show. Here's Geraldine also.
Here's Geraldine.
Yes. Now, here is Art Jazwick, Bernie Kurchowski, Kermit Slav, Roy
Kermit
Hayward,
Slav.
Kurt
Christensen.
Christensen, Lou
Waldenhop,
Haldenhop, Danny Chinesky.
Yeah, that's Grant Miller.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
Miller there on the opening night. Remember, you thought it was Skip Miller, but
Yes.
Skip Miller started a couple of years later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever happened to him, Grant Muller?
He left for another maintenance job somewhere.
Okay.
I really don't know.
Yes, this one, please.
I think I just did that.
Yeah,
Did you?
because what I'm gonna have to do is, with some of them, I don't know who these people are, a lot
Do you
of
want to
them.
talk about general managers? You want to talk about Red Quinlan or
Well-
American Swing Around? Did you ever work that show?
I did with Frank Lonsberry, Jim Lonsberry, yeah.
No, American Swing Around, Jim Lounsbury had Record Hot.
Well, what was American Center?
American Swing with George Paul, we did it in Studio B.
Right, yeah.
Here's some of the pictures.
Yeah, this is from American Swing Around. I don't know if there's anything.
This is-
Oh, that was the fighters, huh? The boxers,
No, these were hillbillies and they'd sing and dance and,
oh, you mean, yeah, the country western?
yes.
Oh, sure.
But the reason I brought up about Jim Stewart, because there was a program I remember when I was, at most a teenager, so we're talking,
Right.
40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
It was Jim Stewart's Game Room. I don't know, it's still stuck in my mind.
Right.
And because it was with that guy from Passage to Adventure.
Right.
Yes?
But he had like a slot car racing thing, and it may have been a one-off or something, but I just remember it from, well, and I just wondered about. Oh,
How about Fred Killian? Do you remember
Fred,
him?
sure, Blinky. Yeah. He was a
Okay.
program director for a while.
Well,
Well, probably when we
can
signed
talk
out.
about him.
Yeah. Yeah, we call him Blinky because he blinked all the time. Yeah.
Do you remember what school Red Quinlan was graduated from?
Let me check.
Iowa?
I got a picture of him here.
Well, Johnny Kern, Red Quinlan brought him here. They were in the Navy together.
Yes,
And so was Joe Corey.
yes.
Remember Joe Corey?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Joe Coy.
like you're looking at, you know.
Oh, yeah, I did Mike Wallace.
Is it true, Frank Generou told Mike Wallace he thought Mike would never make it because he had such a bad complexion?
I didn't hear that, no.
Okay.
But he probably
We
did.
can't verify that,
I
but
know-
that's what was one of the
I
rumors.
So he held a 45 to one guy's head, didn't
What is it?
it?
Was unloaded though.
Their obituary?
Yeah.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna move that out of the way. And I can get a reversal of Ray if you just kind of like, if you
Just
ask
talking
a
to him.
question and then
Yeah.
maybe you can hand him something, I can get it from behind him like this, yeah. You can, you know, you can ask him a question you asked before. It doesn't
Okay,
make
let
any-
me just, let's see if I can find this. Pullen, general manager of ABC, died in 2007.
You know, do you have that thing about Phil Carlson? Because
Yes.
that was kind of nice, and you can kind of like hand it to him or something like that.
Sure.
Right.
If you
Another picture of it?
if you have it there,
Yes, I do.
it's like,
I have a better picture. We have a better picture of this thing.
well, that's fine.
It's like this, actually. He died in 2007 too, geez, 8 years ago. Phil passed away, and I know you worked with him for many, many years.
My
One of
best
your
friend. My best friend.
And do you recall where this picture was taken?
This is at the 1962 at the America's Cup in Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay.
But we were on the Coast Guard cutter Bib. Most enjoyable pickup.
Yes.
We were all on golden time.
Okay, Gary, I can do that with a couple more. I gave Tilly some pictures, and I can do the same thing.
Sure. It's actually not that
Or
difficult for me.
B-roll.
Yeah,
B-roll.
it's not that difficult for me to like stand here and just kind of get a. I'm getting the back of your head, and
I guess a message here.
Okay, well, hang on, Gary. Let me.
that's all right. I'm always amazed at the technology you can have in your hand nowadays.
Till,
Yeah.
let's see. Those pictures that I gave you,
Yes, I took pictures of them.
good?
No,
Yeah?
no, the ones that you showed me?
Yes,
These are the piles that I've taken.
good. Okay. Let me,
Yeah, because like if you just talk about
Yes.
something and then hand it to Don,
Right.
I think we'll be.
Those
It'll,
pictures are done. Were there other pictures that you wanted?
um,
Or you want to wait?
I'd like to get a picture of Don on camera. This is at the beginning.
I have that one. I took that picture.
Okay, but is there a better picture of you on camera, Don? This is a old one.
Yeah.
well, sit down and hand it to him, like,
Okay.
or well,
This is for
yeah,
Yeah,
just
this
hand.
is,
this is Shadaray.
Well,
Yeah.
is that
No,
you?
No, this
who
is you. This
That's
is
me,
you.
yeah.
Is it? Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Yeah, this is you. And do you remember Admiral? This is looks like a news show or
This,
something.
Wait.
This is the Democratic Convention, 1952 at the amphitheater.
Oh, wonderful.
And this is Roger Price shooting. And that fellow side of me is stage manager is Cliff Braun.
Cliff Braun.
Right. Thing about Chicago handled most all of it. Ed Horstman was our chief, and he's told New York, we'll handle the whole thing ourselves. And we did pretty much do it. Whereas New York wanted to send in a load of guys, but at that time, chief engineers had some horsepower.
Yeah.
And
Is that the one where they nominated Eisenhower?
yes, yeah. And he, against Adlai Stevenson was a Democrat. Ike was
Okay. Here's a real early picture. of some real early
Super Circus, I guess.
super circus, huh?
Yeah, yeah. That's in the wings down in the Civic Theater.
Yes.
There's C.K. Claude Kirshner.
Gotta get Mary Hartline in there someplace.
No, Mary isn't there. but,
Mary Hartline.
Frank Turner.
Yes.
Yeah, we had Mary here 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
I brought him. She
Yeah.
came to town.
Yeah.
She remembered Don.
All right, you can ask a question or
You can-
pass a sheet or something like.
Yeah, you got pictures there of two crews. Can you do you recognize the guys on those crews? I do.
Oh, yes, this is way back when we were still WENR, and we changed call letters in 1953. Became WBKB. We merged with United Paramount.
Okay. Well, we gotta get that. Is there audio on that, Gary?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we ought to get that too, for the history of the station when it was changed, 1953.
Yes, and that's when we lost Chief Horseman. Bill Cusack come in and replaced him. John Mitchell come in and replaced John Norton.
Okay.
There were other replacements, I can't remember. Chuck Buzzard came over with him.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't.
And he became a chief engineer also.
He did, yes.
And I think around 67, we had a strike, and then Hippie came and took his spot.
Right, right.
Hippie.
Yeah, Ed
Ed
Hippie.
Hippie, yeah.
Oh.
Ed Hippie was a chief engineer with us. And I want you to take a look at how about Paul Harvey's wife. Everybody said that she did most of the writing. Did you ever run into him, Jamie? Did you ever run into her or work for her?
I don't think so.
Don did?
Well, on the shows we did, she was always there. I was not aware that she did the writing, but it's very possible.
I believe that article does say that.
Yeah, so I'm sure she did, because it says here she worked at other radio stations before she met him, so
Yes.
it makes sense.
He was a powerhouse,
Oh, yeah, right.
and he also was very, very big with Chuck Bill. Chuck Bill would introduce him at some of these smaller towns,
Right.
and he said Paul Harvey was considered almost godlike.
Paul Harvey was a staunch Republican, and at the 68 convention, I think, no, when Eisenhower was running, Richard Nixon was the vice president.
Yes.
He stayed with Paul Harvey in River Forest at his house, so.
No kidding.
Right.
And I understand that when in 1957 we moved out of the Civic Opera building onto 190 North State.
That's true,
We were WBKB then.
yes.
And what year did we go to WLS?
I don't know. You'd have to look that up, right?
Yeah.
I still got a 2x2 slide in WLS.
Do you?
I know it's from,
I would say it had to be in the
when
60s.
Matt Vierica was still there, because I remember him being a part of it. All we did was really got our letters from the radio station, you know,
Right.
world's largest store.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Also, the
Go in on these guys again. I don't know how much.
he was born in Iowa and grew up in Pullman, a neighborhood. His first name led to teasing and fights from the local bullies, so he took the nickname Red from his hair color and his favorite football player, Harold Red Grange.
Yeah. We worked at Red Grange for years. We did, are we rolling now?
Fenger High School. He went to Fenger High School, John.
That's where Dead Buckus.
Yeah, did he? But you're from Ada, Minnesota. So ADA, Minnesota, you lived on a farm.
Right on the edge of town, but it was at a farm, yes.
Yeah. And you had, maybe 5 brothers?
5 brothers and 3 sisters.
5 brothers and 3 sisters. And Don, you had,
5 brothers and 2 sisters.
so, but you're from Syracuse, New York, around Syracuse. It wasn't a farm though. You're not, your dad,
Country, you know,
yeah,
father's an electrician. Yeah,
your dad was an electrician.
right.
And you both enlisted after you graduated from high school.
For me, I was the class of 43, right in the middle of that war, you know.
Yeah,
And I was 16 years old, and then when I was 17, I would have got drafted because I went in the Navy just about 2 months before I was 17.
okay.
But
And,
everything happened. I mean, the war was over, and I was back home, and I wasn't able to buy a beer yet.
yeah,
I was still 20 years old. You know.
Right?
yeah. That, well, Don, just for my own recollection, I know you graduated from high school,
Yeah.
and was it 41?
No, 43.
43, 43 also,
17.
Yeah.
I'm in the Marine Corps because if you're 18, you're drafted, you're gone in 30 days.
yeah,
I would have got
And you
drafted
go-
too quick, yeah.
If I want to go in the Marine Corps, if you're with them drafted, you'll go wherever, so
yeah. So you volunteered for the Marine Corps,
I did. Yeah.
and do you remember that when you enlisted, and then you got on did you get on a boat and then you were crossing a bridge? Tell the story
Well,
about
no, we took
mental
a train
crisis
took a
that-
train out of Syracuse to Paris Island, South Carolina,
Yes,
and that's boot training for Marines on the East Coast.
yeah,
And now there's a bridge, but at that time you went over on a barge, and they squeezed up 60 of us on a barge that held 30 people. And first thing the big sergeant says, what you really need is a good swift kick in the ass. So at that time I thought, maybe this wasn't a great idea.
what did I get myself into?
It was too late. But you know, a lot of laughs after you get out, you can look back and laugh at all that stuff.
Yes.
It was pretty serious then.
Right, but you were in a company with one of the directors,
Yes, yeah.
and you later discovered
Well,
John Harkins.
later in the outfit I went overseas was John Harkins was in the same company, in the
Yes.
same platoon really. And I never thought I'd see him again until one day on the intercom somebody said, "This is John Harkins," and I had to go in and control him, see if it was the John Harkins, and it was.
Yes, did he recall you?
Oh, sure. We was bosom buddies till the end. I used to go fishing Phil and I went fishing every year up at his place in Hayward, Wisconsin.
Mhm.
And a great guy, great director.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
He was a great news director.
Right, yeah.
Yes. He also, you were very close to Quinlisk was in your company, right?
Right. That's,
And Quinlisk became your brother-in-law.
that's right.
So the Marine Corps was a foundational experience for you.
That's true. Not only did I go to ABC, but I also got married. Yeah.
From a girl from Bridgeport.
Yeah, I married John Quinlisk's sister, Ann Quinlisk.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
Huh?
Do you want to stop for a little bit?
Sure. Well,
Oh, absolutely. All right, let me,
yeah, you have to hold it a little bit angled.
How
Not
about
I
too
don't-
much?
I
Wanna
might,
sit
no,
down?
that's too much. Yeah.
wait.
Like that ish.
Wait,
Okay.
you're cramping up something here. Hold on.
Okay.
I got too many things in the way.
And just flip a page or two.
Okay.
So Don, when you were collecting all these, did you ever think that one day we'd all be standing here going through it?
No, and you
Like
know,
it was
for,
gold?
no, except for that 148, for years I didn't start it, you know.
Really?
Well, working all these local remotes, like working Wrigley Field, he doesn't need anything, he just,
Well, that's, you just walked in. I
Yeah.
suppose you just said to somebody, or they knew that you were there.
in one of those, there's an armband we used to wear, it said WNR TV, it's in there somewhere, but, and for boxing and wrestling, we didn't have passes for that, because you worked it every week, you know.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can get as many as this as we can. They're recognizable.
There's a season pass, everybody in Bridgeport used that. Come see party.
Oh, yeah, season pass.
Right.
Wait, you skipped one. Hold on.
Well, I don't know whether I can get. Yeah, I kept a book from the Olympics. All the stuff that from the '84 Olympics. It never occurred to me that it would be the only thing that they would send me.
Here's Ingemar Johansson and Floyd Patterson.
Right. Private showing there.
Private showing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don, do you want to take a look at some of the and go through the just so Gary can identify some of your favorite shows that you.
Well, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, I'm
later. This is a golf tournament in Akron, Ohio, where I'm on the 225-foot crane above the Firestone Country Club, and the local paper did an article about it. It's oh, here's the Sweet 16. We did the Sweet 16.
Oh, that was a
from
big one.
1952 to 64. That was our big remote of the year, and.
Didn't we do one in '67 too? Do you remember? I remember going down and
be
Champaign.
careful of this one.
It wouldn't be in
Page.
67.
We were. Okay.
Here's the St. Paul Winter Carnival. I worked that for Wide World of Sports. We're on Lake Como that day. The high was 15 below zero.
Remember they put you on the mountain too?
Well, that was in Lake Placid later, 1980.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can I go to the next one here?
All right,
Okay.
these are just AFL games. Kansas City Chiefs against Houston. That's before they joined the NFL. Okay.
Okay. See if we can not skip a page here.
Okay. Here's the Democratic Convention. Would this be in 60? I think in 1968. Yeah, it'll be 1968. Democratic Convention at the amphitheater. That's the last convention we ever worked at the amphitheater, and that's yes.
Well, the '68 Chicago.
Right.
That was a huge.
That's after the riots.
Yeah.
That's when the riots started.
Actually, I worked in Miami in '68, and there were riots down there too
Right.
at the Republican convention,
Yeah.
and people were killed, and it's never been mentioned.
I was down there. I didn't see it. Right.
I was
Yeah.
with Ray Osterman. I
Okay.
was in it.
I
Yeah.
was on a mobile truck, and Bull Connor was the sheriff or warden
Oh,
or something.
yes.
And anyway, we had lights on the top of our truck, and he said, "Turn off the lights." Well, of course, the director says, "Keep them on." So Bull Connor says, "If you don't turn off the lights, we're going to shoot them out." We turned them off.
Yeah. How about this?
The Hoosier 100, that's a race in Indianapolis. I was TD in that.
Yes. And that's when I started working with him. I worked with him. He was my TD. So,
At the
and I
time
was
when-
very proud of that.
He and Smith, no,
It's a
he and
Stormy Cook. Yeah.
Julie, they get off the plane, they're all dressed in their three-piece suits. They go to the motel and jump in the pool. Then they come to my room, but left a trail of water.
Well, no, it started because Stormy said he was a fisherman from, he used to deep sea dive for abalone.
All right.
I said, Stormy, you are an exaggerator, not exactly those words. So I said, I don't think you can even swim. And he says, oh yeah, I can swim. I said, oh yeah. I said, I'll do anything you do. I can't swim. So Stormy gets up. We were overserved. And
Say the least.
and Stormy gets up and he goes out and he jumps in the pool and the people are screaming at him. So I had told him I'd do everything he could do, so I jumped in the water too. And the people were screaming and the manager was called. So he said, we better get back. I can't swim. I finally made it to the side. I got out. We went back to Don's room. Don was taking a shower. And the manager knocked on the door. Said, you boys jumping in the pool with clothes on? I said, it was the guy in there that did it. I blamed it on Don. So,
Why am I not surprised?
so he said, okay. So I don't know, Don, poor Don, we left and Don had to deal with the manager. So here's some more pictures, Gary.
Oh,
1970.
Soon after that, Ray quit drinking.
Yeah.
But he was on that plane going to Ireland. And over the Atlantic, he goes stumbling down the aisle. As far as the plane going, there's Ireland. Shit, Ireland, I thought we were going to Toledo.
And then the pilot gets on and he says, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to let you know that we've lost one of our engines. And that means in practical terms, we'll be landing in Shannon about a half hour late. A little while later, comes back, ladies and gentlemen, we've lost our second engine. So in practical terms, we'll just be about an hour late coming in to Shannon. A little while later, he gets back on. He says, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to put fear into you, but we've lost our third engine. He said, we'll be about a half hour, an hour and a half late now coming into Shannon. So the guy next to me says, you know, God damn it, if they lose that fourth motor, we'll be up here all day.
oh.
Okay, do you think you have enough of these?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, let's get near the end then. We can go to the beginning to the end. Let's do the last four.
okay. Well, what is it?
This is it, Don. TV. Can you recognize Detroit versus L.A. 76?
Yeah, probably.
Pontiac.
That's Monday Night Football. Well, you passed a good one though, Ray.
Oh yeah. Okay,
President
go ahead.
Nixon's trip to China.
Oh yes, that was a big one. It's in the 70s.
Right. 1972. I just saw you. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, this is a historical one. We can just put the historical back more.
Yeah.
Did you work with Nixon at all?
Well, I saw him a couple times.
Yeah.
I saw her a lot over there, but yes, said good morning to him one morning.
Okay.
We caught him coming down, and it was just us.
You got it?
No,
It's got to be before that.
here.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this one.
Yeah, we saw him one morning. We were out just warming up.
What is this?
Here Nixon came. It's on our President Nixon's historic trip to China in 1972. The first Americans have been there since 1949, and we saw the American flag raised at the airport, and they announced the first American flag since 1949. It's quite emotional.
Yes.
Yeah. So we saw Nixon that morning, and there's nobody around. He was with Joe and Lai, and Jody Giovanna was our supervisor there. I was shooting. I said, Joe, say something. So he said, good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, guys. Nice morning. So that was my conversation with the president.
Yeah. Okay. But
So I have a question.
Yeah.
If you worked at the